I mean, it was just too damn beautiful to not come outside and get some work done here in Galveston on a Sunday afternoon. Even got the biplanes rocking. So today I'm writing one of my weekly messages, and I got a really good one for today. So earlier this week, I wrote this proposal to this condominium building. What they're looking for is a documentary style video, long form video, something with historical context of not only the building and the land, but of Galveston itself. And this just absolutely sang to my storyteller's heart, and I was immediately attached to it. So I knew that this is going to be a significant undertaking because it's going to be a 10 to 15 minute long video, and this is going to be full of historical kind of documents and video and footage, and I'm going to go out to the library out here. Now this is assuming I even get this gig. Now, like I said, I was hanging out and writing a proposal for this earlier this week, and it's pretty hefty. I mean, it's an $8,000 payday it's an $8,000 gig that I'm asking for, at least in my proposal. That's what I proposed. And the thing is, I started at $6,500 because I priced it at quite low per hour of what all entails for the work that's going to be done. And it's going to be including 20, 30 hours of editing at least. So I priced all that in, and also coming to Galveston and traveling to Galveston, interviewing people, getting some backstory and getting all the footage and stuff, and assembling it all, organizing it and assembling it, putting it all together, and then creating a final video. It's a pretty big undertaking. And the whole piece that I'm going to be writing about today is about how I have significantly undervalued my work for many years. And even in this, I felt a little tinge of maybe I'm not worth this much. And what if they come back and say, hell no, and never talk to me again? And I was texting a friend of mine, and she said, dude, ask for more. Like, you've been doing this for 8 years, ask for more. You're worth it. And I did. I asked for $1,500 more, and I clicked send. I wrote down all the stuff that's going to be involved in the making of it all, and then I clicked send. And you know what I felt this gigantic bit of relief afterwards, and that was a bit surprising to me. So that's what I'm going to be writing about today, and I'm going to this place right over here called Mod, little coffee shop in Galveston. That's where I'm going to set up shop and get to writing and see what I can come up with in the form of getting this story across in the best way possible, and then sending it out to my Substack. So let's get to writing. So I've just started. I'm a couple paragraphs in, and I found a really good in with how to tell this story, and that is that I have been a photographer and videographer for 8 years now, and the overwhelming majority of the time I have undervalued my work, and to the point where I've had people even recently say, hey, do you need to raise your prices? And the conflict there is that as artists, and any artist I think understands this, is that you truly want the work to exist. You want your art to exist. You want other people to appreciate it, especially when it comes to photography, and videography, telling stories. And that's the bane of artist's existence, because you have to wrestle with living. And I'm making a joke here that, man, it's like you just want it to exist, even if it means living off canned tuna. But something shifted a little bit this week, and I wrote this down here. I felt like I even said out loud, I was like, my work is good. I said it out loud, kind of like an affirmation, but it wasn't a convincing myself. It was a declaration. No, dude, my stuff is good, and I'm going to roll with that. And that gave me the confidence, because I went to the meeting first, and then I wrote the proposal to send out to that meeting. So that's what we're getting to here, and I'm talking about the backstory of how I went on this meeting. And I went 2 shots of tequila deep just because I was feeling a little spicy. So it all worked out. The meeting went fantastic. So I'm gonna get to that here in a bit, but I think this is a good place to start, showing the conflict of the discrepancy between needing to, survive and make money, but also you love the work and you want this to exist, especially this long form video. I want this to exist. So yeah, it's a good place to start, I think, the conflict right in the beginning. Check out the birdies. Okay, back to writing. Say what you will about this place, but it's not devoid of distraction, is it? All right, I've got several paragraphs written here. Looking good. Take a little break right now. I got to get back to the house, got to cross the ferry and such. Get home and finish this bad boy and get it sent out tonight. It's wild to me how different my Sundays are now. Several years ago, about 10 years ago or so, on Sunday you could find me in Austin doing some Sunday fun day, and might as well have been a Saturday night. Just going absolutely ballistic out there. And then, now you got me here, cruising around downtown Galveston, sober, just writing for my little publication. Life comes at you fast, I love these turn of the century freaking buildings, most of which for late 1800s. I guess that's when you say turn of the century, right? 1800s to 1900. You wouldn't really say that about Y2K, would you? I don't even know. But I mean, love it. A lot of these buildings were here during the hurricane of 1900, and they have little plaques taller than me about where the water line was. Crazy. So that storm, that 1900 storm, that's going to be in the documentary, should I get the chance to make that documentary and get paid for it. Absolutely, that hurricane's going to be in that video. So, damn, man, it's a beautiful day today. Just got on the ferry. This is one redeeming quality of having to travel, is the ferry ride gets pretty cool and you get to see some dolphins and stuff. So let's see if we can go find some dolphins. And a pretty view of Galveston in general. And what's cool is, I don't know if you can see those ships out there, when they come through the ship channel right here, especially when they go through a little fast, they kick up this huge wake. And in that wake, the dolphins will jump through it. They'll play on those waves, and that is always super freaking cool to see that. But yeah, I decided to come upstairs. Let's go be some tourists for a minute, because it's really pretty up here. That's a bit of a bummer. I didn't get to see any dolphins. I didn't get to show you any dolphins, and that's one of the best parts of the entire trip. Just saw a dolphin. I'll be damned. See if I can get my phone out for this. Hang on a second. I'll show you. There's a couple dolphins over here. See? There we go. I got one on video for you. Let's see, it's 7. Got about an hour before I can get this posted, because I promised 8:15 p.m. That's the time. So, like I said, I'm about 60% of the way through. Let's see if I can hammer the rest of this out and try to get it edited in some sort of cohesive way. But this one, I want a little bit of a actionable steps kind of at the end. Something that a good takeaway from this, instead of me rambling about, betting on yourself and that kind of stuff. So, stumbling right now with an ending. I have an emotional ending. I end the whole piece on the word relief, which is really good from a literary standpoint, but I'm trying to go for, this is kind of like newsletter-ish, so I want this to have a little bit of actionable nature towards the end, a bit of a challenge. I want to go for a challenge, like make this the week where you take the gamble on yourself, where you ask for more than you're worth, So it ends in a literary sense with the emotional height, where I felt relief from hitting send for that proposal. It's a great ending, but this is a different kind of piece. Okay, 8:08. I'm about to hit publish. I gotta put a little photograph or something as the cover picture, and I rearranged the beginning of the piece. So at first I had it starting with the conflict, which is, I've always talked about knowing your worth for so long, and I can't tell you how many times that I've been asked to raise my prices and yada yada. And I think the bane of every artist's existence is wanting the art to exist. And the more I kind of sat with that, the more I realized that was clearing your throat kind of thing before getting to the point. So I hopped right into the story, and I start the whole piece off with, 2 Fridays ago, I had a meeting with a marketing director to discuss a relatively massive video project for a condominium building in Galveston. Right into it. And then it feels like the know your worth kind of conflict is a bit earned and more contextualized so that I don't have to explain so much. Okay, it is posted. And I use a picture of me. How quaint. But it was a picture taken of me when I was at the beach and I had my camera with me. Check this out. See what I'm saying? That's a cool pic. All right. So after all the rearranging and all that fun stuff, I got it published, and let's go ahead and read it. 2 Fridays ago, I had a meeting with a marketing director to discuss a relatively massive video project for a condominium building in Galveston. I say relatively because the majority of my work is real estate photography. 1 hour in and out, 40 images. I send the client the final photos in less than 24 hours. Easy. I could do it blindfolded. But video is another beast entirely, especially with what this potential client is expecting. They wanted a 10 to 15 minute long documentary style video full of historical context about the building, the land it sits on, as well as Galveston Island history itself. The second I received this DM, oh yeah, that's another thing. They found me. Thanks, universe. I was automatically attached. You had me a documentary and now you want to attach history? Galveston history? Say less. I have espoused the know your worth mantra for years, and for the life of me, I can't think of a time when I applied that same mentality to my photography and videography work. I've been a professional in that realm for 8 years now, and I truly love it with all my heart. I can't tell you how many times, even recently, that I've been told to raise my prices. I think the bane of every artist's existence is purely wanting the art to exist, even if it means living off canned tuna. We agreed to meet, talk concepts, and for me to tour the property. Right when I walk in, I'm greeted with smiles and handshakes and appreciation. My belting Sugar Ray in my car on the way over must have shown in my gait. I was in the frickin' zone. I knew that this was the right place and the right time. I love it when that happens. The meeting couldn't have gone better. She and I were bouncing ideas off one another and reveling in the amount of fascinating material a project like this would require. I mentioned I would do the script writing as well as the voiceover, and you'd think by her reaction that I just mentioned Pee-wee's word of the day. I'm telling you, in the zone. It was then that I asked if they had a budget they wanted to stick to. That's a great gauge to have on any major project, and I'm surprised to hear what she said, no budget. I kid you not, that response threw me off. And not in a good way. You'd think I'd relish in the response, as if it were free, as if I had free reign to go crazy and comfortably overshoot my shot with confidence as far as cost goes. But the opposite happened. I got smaller. I immediately thought of the possibilities of what could go wrong. Maybe I'm underqualified. Maybe they want the Mona Lisa for pennies. Left to guess at what they were looking for revealed latent insecurities I rarely encounter, and I didn't know how to navigate that in the moment, and I didn't want to show any level of unease. So I recalibrated and switched the conversation to getting a tour of the property. The property itself is sublime. It's beachfront, charming, and understated. It had the energy you'd expect from a beachfront property, but felt like home at the same time. I got back in the zone and cracked some jokes, and if there was any apprehension, I wasn't aware of it. We parted on great terms and even made tentative plans on meeting again once we hammer out the details. Promising. A couple days later, I sat at my computer and typed out a proposal for the work I figured was all needed. I mentioned the multiple trips needed to gather imagery, to chat with historians, to gather and organize historical data from the media from the library, the script writing, the voiceover, music tracks, visual and audio effects. Ultimately, it will require dozens of hours of editing on top of the dozens of hours traveling and filming. It's a hefty job, and the more I typed the proposal, the more confident I got. Sometimes I guess we really don't realize the actual quantifiable effort we put into our work and in our lives. When I finished up, I read and reread it, looking for errors and omissions, and then the cost. I sat there for a solid hour calculating and ruminating about the hours I will put in, the value of those hours. Not just in today's time, but in the time I've invested in my craft for the better part of the last decade. I landed on $6,500. I sent a screenshot. Nice. I sent a screenshot of that proposal to a friend for a second pair of eyes, and she immediately responded, "You need to ask for more." I still have trouble wrapping my head around how everyone else seems to see our value besides our own selves. But this time, I didn't even fight it. I typed $8,000. And before I could talk myself out of it, send. There was a visceral feeling of the floor being pulled from beneath me. I kept it cool because I was in public, but inwardly, chaos. And then a few beats later, relief. We encounter moments like this more than we realize. The unsent text, the unasked raise, the price we typed and then deleted. The ask we never made because we decided to answer for them before they could. So here's your challenge this week. Whatever your version of send is, hit it. Ask for more than feels comfortable. Charge what you actually deserve. You've already done the work to earn it. The only thing left is to stop protecting other people from your worth. P.S. I have not heard back from them just yet, almost a week later, but I trust that whatever they say is okay. I feel my win has already happened. Everything from here is a bonus, even if they decline. And there's a piece. If you would like to follow along, you can find this and more on my Substack. The link is down in the description. That's where all of my heart and soul resides, is on my Substack, where all my writing resides. So I would love for you to go check it out. There's free and paid subscriptions, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay. Maybe I lied. That wasn't the end. The end is now milk and a cookie. Now that's how you end a good day of writing. Protein cookie, though. It's the Quest chocolate chip. The best freaking cookie there is. Cheers.